Hello, I recently collected a heap of video recorders and one of them was a Betamax, but not any old Betamax, Beta HiFi. It's a Sony SL-HF100. Let's see what's wrong with this. So the label says left-hand cassette loading gear nylon shaft split will not load unload cassette. I have an idea what that might be. But the best way to find out is to have a look. Let me show you my idea as well. On these mechanisms there's a metal shaft with a plastic gear at the bottom. There's a broken one here, and this gear splits. And you can buy these gears here, which are intended for remote control model cars, and they are a good enough fit that you can install them there and solve the problem. So if we're really lucky, that's all that's wrong, but it depends really what it means by left-hand cassette loading gear. It might be something to do with the front loading mechanism. So I'm not even going to power it up, I think. We're going to take the lid off first and have a look at what we have here. So it's the SL-HF100, complete with the drop-down panel, which is nice when that's not been lost. And you will have seen a video I did recently where I rebuilt the VU meters on one of these. We're missing the headphone volume control, which is a shame, so I'd have to try and find one of them somewhere. Okay, let's whip it apart and see what we have. That's an interesting message. New carriage assembly. I think that's 17th of February 1986. So that's not that new, a few years ago. Let's have a look here at the mechanism. Okay, well, I don't really know what to make of it, so I'll plug it in. Let's see what lights we get on the front. Let's make sure it's switched on here. Right, so switch on. And the clock is unbelievably dim. We clearly have VU meter problems, but I know how to fix that. So it's worth just put a tape in and see what it does. Well, how bad could it be? It could chew my tape. Oh, that went in really horrible angle. It did actually load, it did lace, but it went in at a ghastly angle. So our problems are with the cassette carriage, not with the lacing mechanism. Let's try eject. Get my finger out. Oh dear. Oh, right, okay. We'll power that down. We have a broken cassette carriage, and the good news is that I think I have a spare one of those. So this may not be so hard to repair. Okay, here I have another SL-HF100. This is a scrap machine. It's got part of the loading mechanism broken, and I don't know what other faults. I think it's got smashed heads. Pretty sure this one's got smashed heads, so it's a spares machine. There's some screws in here at the bottom of the carriage, and I think screws to take out the top. I don't believe there's any timing mechanism to do because it's all driven by this belt. Now, I've never taken one of these carriages out before, so let's see how easy this is. I may have to take the front off, we'll see. Alas, there's still no headphone control on this one either. Right, in this scrap machine I've written, I think that's my writing, bad left VU. So we're no closer to having a working VU meter. What I don't yet know is how to take the carriage out. There's a screw here. I think that's going to be important. Okay, and then the cable with the connections for the switches. So we believe we have a good carriage here. Let's see if we can put that into the other machine. Do we need to take the front off? I'm not sure if we do. So let's just work on the assumption we don't need to take the front off for a minute. Now I think we do need to at least loosen, if not take off the front. And the gear has just fallen off here, and this might be what's wrong with it. That gear there, I think, may be the root cause of the problem. But it's not worth worrying about that, since we've got a good working carriage to install. Yes, that gear is split. That probably is actually fixable, but let's not worry about it. Right, no point refitting all the screws in the front panel just now, because we're going to have to take it off to fix the VU meters later anyway. So let's just see if now it mechanically runs. If it does, that'll be a major step forward. Try fast forward. Rewind. Notice that the head's spinning. That means the Hall effect sensor and the head has not failed. Play. Everything looking good. Right, so we can work on some of the other problems it may have shortly. Right, I spent most of yesterday evening not working on this, but instead working on changing a battery in the Samsung S10 Plus, which involved getting rid of a lot of glue. Right, so let's now try it with a known test tape. Odd things going on here. I've not seen that before. Let me try and show you. Normally LEDs have faults, but not that fault, because there's no input, so there should be only, well, it should be only the minus infinity LEDs lit. So I don't know what's going on there. What happens if I switch the VU meter off? Do they hang on a minute. This is not like my other video recorders. What? This is not like the front panel of my... I'm baffled. Just a minute. Here's our parts machine, and it has a timer and more buttons there too. So I'm guessing this one with no buttons there. I'm assuming then that the timer must be set by remote control. I've never seen this variant before. And it has buttons. What the? It has different lights as well. It says limiter. What's that about? Counter reset, Beta HiFi, and BNR. You don't get those lights. What is this? It has a time. It apparently has a tuner. So I don't think it's an industrial duplicator, is it? And what are these controls here? Where the tuner presets should be. What precisely is this? SL-HF100 I don't know why it's got program buttons if it has no tuner. Level control, it says. Right channel, left channel, level control. So what is going on here? How come I didn't notice this earlier? This is a strange machine. Local, it says. It's like an industrial duplicator. And I think it must have some sort of fault there, that these VU meters are stuck at -20. don't understand that. Let's get on and test with our test tape. Well, I'll try to work out what kind of video recorder this is. Well, it's playing well. Beta HiFi is lit. I think we're getting Beta HiFi sound. Oh, it doesn't sound so good. Where's the tracking? Just the tracking. The tracking seems a bit fussy and off-center. So the TV is picking up only the left channel just because that's what it's plugged into. I believe the hi-fi sound is working, but it sounds like it's struggling. It's a bit off the center position. That's center there. But if I set it just right, it is working. That is correct. It's working, but it seems a little fussy, which might imply head wear. But it could just be a bit of head clogging. It hasn't been used for a long time. Perhaps I should just leave it on test for a while I go and research this unusual model. You know, I've just thought of something. I wonder if these might be the linear stereo recording level controls. In which case, let me have a look at the audio control head. Because in general, Beta HiFi machines do not have linear stereo audio heads. I'm trying to see the audio head. It's not that easy to see, is it? So what I want us to see is the top of the audio control head to see if there are two linear audio channels, and I just can't get in there to see it, and I don't have a service manual, so I'm going to use this camera. Yes, I think we can see two linear audio tracks on this audio head, and that might not sound particularly exciting. You know, the SL-C9 for example is a machine that supports linear stereo, but that would make this the only, I think, only PAL Beta video recorder model that can record in both linear and Beta HiFi stereo. So that's why I was so interested in that. I'll put all this back together in a moment, but first, well, one thing I want to see, because it's a rare model, what's the serial number? So it would appear to be serial number, if you can see that, 1819. So that implies that they did make at least a couple of thousand of this model, but it is rare. You know, that's not a consumer product, so not many of these were made. Now, I don't have the service manual for this model, and that's a nuisance because I would really like to look at the FM envelope from the, well, video heads to start with, maybe the Beta HiFi heads too, because it looks like the tracking's not quite right, or it has some head wear. But this board is a totally different layout than the SL-HF100 domestic, and I don't know where the test points are for the FM envelope. Normally you have some pins, some test pins visible from above here, if that's the right area. Not seeing anything useful there. I wonder if maybe that's what this connector's for. Because it's a professional machine, might those connectors there be accessible to the outside for checking your FM envelope? But you'd need three. You'd need ground and signal from the heads and the head switching point. So no, I don't think so. But they do seem to head back towards this. Why would you do it with 2 pins, not 3? Should we hook up an oscilloscope to those and see what we get? Is one of them ground? Okay, the left one's ground and the right one's some sort of signal. let's just play a tape and see if we get anything. It would appear that I'm just getting a DC signal of about 12 volts on there, so maybe that's a connector for some sort of power. I'll put it in AC coupled and wind the gain up. No, just a bit of noise. Nope, that's just 12 volts. That doesn't help us one little bit. Now I'm looking for the FM and head switching signal somewhere here. So here's the cables from the heads. I've already tidied these up a bit. They weren't in their clip. There's a lot of sort of stray cables kicking around here. There's even some missing screws. So I think this machine's had a bit of a hard life already. Now I thought these cables would come up to here. Fairly sure this is where the RF amplifier section would be, and I would expect to see some test points like there are on the SL-HF100 domestic machine, but it's not obvious at all where those test points are, and I think we've got to the point we cannot carry on without the service manual. But I suspect that we've got head drum wear, and this machine may not really be much use despite being a rare model, because I think it needs new heads. So is it worth working on the VU meters? You know, I have a system for replacing the LEDs here. I've actually got two different sizes of LED. The smaller size will give me more of the original colour, sort of yellow-green rather than bright green. But I'm not sure it's worth replacing the VU meter LEDs at this point until we can get some service information for this machine. So we're probably going to stop there for the time being, but at least we've got it fundamentally working. You know, I thought, though we don't have any layout for this machine, looking at the regular SL-HF100, we know what IC is involved in the head amplifier, and I can work out which is a switch signal and the RF signal. Actually, they don't seem to have any test points on them as test points for other things. So let's see if we can find this 28-pin IC CX20045. Some sort of bodge wires going on in here. You can tell this is a low volume product, can't you? This board is all loose. Well, I don't know where it is, unless it's under this can, which would be a terrible place to find the head amplifier electronics. They haven't given any access to any test ports. That seems a bit unlikely. And we're not seeing any 28-pin IC, so I'm just not seeing that chip anywhere. CX20045. I just don't see where it is unless it's buried in a can somewhere. And looking along the edge there, I don't think there's an IC in there anyway. Certainly not a 28-pin IC. So we don't know where that chip is, if it exists at all in this model. I can't go a lot further without the service manual because I can't find the test signals to look for the RF output from the video heads and indeed the hi-fi audio heads, and to check whether the deck needs alignment or if it needs new heads. It's just, we really have to have the correct service manual for this model. So what do you reckon to this? Is this worth any more effort? It's a Beta HiFi, which is good. It's fundamentally working, which is good. And it's a super rare model, which is also good. But I don't have the service manual. The heads may be rather worn. It may just be an alignment issue, but I suspect they're worn. Is it worth putting too much more effort into? If somebody out there has the service manual or a soft copy of it, let me know. That would be a great step forward in being able to work on this and see if we can get any more from it. Right, I hope you've enjoyed what we've done here today. I'll do plenty more content on audio and video technology in the near future. Bye for now. It's when you look in the lid here that you see, you know, a circuit board with connections in there that you realise this is a low volume professional product. I want to know, why has it got program or channel up and down buttons when there's no tuner? Is it because it was too hard to miss those out? But why does it still say prog on here when this is all custom? They could have just not put anything on there at all. So do those buttons actually do something? And why does it have a clock at all? Is that just for the timer, for the tuner, the counter? It's an interesting mix of being a domestic machine and a professional machine.